Good day. In my last video I said I'm going to do a death metal, and now is my time for my favorite top 10 favorite death metal releases of all time. And it's in not in a ranked order, but in the order the original release date of the records. So here goes. Kicking off this video we have Scream Bloody Gore by Death. It was released in '87 through Combat Records, and Death is one of the founding fathers of the genre and have an excellent discography, but Scream Bloody Gore was the first one I heard, and it's still my favorite. And everything is just great on this record, from the sound of Reifert's drum kit and his playing to Chuck's vocals, and the riffing and audible bass playing. Autopsy's Severed Survival is almost as good as this, but I haven't listened to that one as much as this one, or anything else on the list, but Scream Bloody Gore. Moving to the Netherlands, we have Pestilence sophomore release, Consuming Impulse, and their debut is very good, and the follow-up, Testimony of the Ancients, also. But Consuming Impulse is the most death metal in their discography, and it's my favorite. Von Drunen's vocals are excellent, and the production is excellent. The riffing and drumming and everything in between is just perfect, and this is fantastic. Released in '89 through RC Records. Next we move to Sweden. I felt I had to pick a Swedish, some Swedish, and the Left Hand Path by Entombed could have taken this place, but I heard Like an Overflowing Stream first, so it's close to my heart. So it's Dismember, Like an Overflowing Stream from '91 through Nuclear Blast. And this is the definition of old school Swedish death metal with the HM2 pedal and Sunlight studio production. And there's basso guitar riffing all over, and the drumming is great, and Martti Kärki's vocal performance is also great. And Dismember went on to release several other good records, but never managed to top Like an Overflowing Stream, in my opinion. This is Sinister Slaughter by the Chicago-based murder metal band Macabre. And Sinister Slaughter was their sophomore release. The debut, Gloom, is a little more grindcore oriented and not as good as this one. The production is very shabby on that one. This one has better production. And on Sinister Slaughter, the mix a bunch of styles from thrash, grindcore and death metal to all-out acoustic folk music. And it's very tongue-in-cheek, and I usually don't like funny music, but Macabre is the exception, with lyrics about serial killers and other deranged people from history. And the lyrics from Zodiac is apart from an actual letter from the real Zodiac killer. And music-wise, there are better records than this, but as a whole package, it's one of my favorite death metal releases of all time. And they have released Dahmer, Murder Metal, and Grim Scary Tales. They are also good, especially Dahmer and Murder Metal, but this one was the first I heard, and this is my favorite. He will get you in the night, and he'll take away your life. Somebody got sick in his head, put him away or sleep in your bed. Looking for in a lock, window door. They sucker looking for a lock, window door. Moving on to something completely different once again, and as I said in my black metal video, the Somberlane is equally good as Storm of Light's Bane, if not better. But I think this is slightly less black metal and maybe a little more melodic death metal. and so I cheated and put this on the death metal list so I could have them both. Anyway, the Somberlane was Dissection's debut full length, and it's just excellent all the way, including the acoustic interludes and the outro. And the production is not as polished as Storm, but it's still excellent, and it has one of the best artworks also. But this re-release just has the logo for some reason. And this was released in 93 through No Fashion Records. Staying in Sweden, we have the epitome of Swedish melodic death metal. This has spawned so many copycats that the band get shit on, but it's not their fault for making the be-all end-all melodic death metal record. Slaughter of the Soul at the Gates, released in 95 through Earache. Stellar. Yes. Moving to Poland, we have this one. This is Litany by Vader. It was released in 2000 through Metal Blade. This was the band's fourth studio album, and they took its predecessor, Black to the Blind, and turned up everything a notch. And the drumming performance from Doc is by far the best I have heard, and the production makes the drums sound like nothing else, especially the kick drum sounds out of this world. And I actually managed to see them live when they toured this record, and they managed to recreate the drum sound. It was glorious. And they have released many more great records, but Litany is and has always been my favorite.
Would you do the same if I shed my pair of wings?
Moving on to the US, and like with Vader, Malevolent Creation has a lot of good records, but The Will to Kill, released in 2002 through Nuclear Blast, was my first or second experience with the band. I think I might have had Envenomed first and thought it was good, but The Will to Kill is much more brutal, both production-wise, and Kyle Simmons from Hateblow, he has much more brutal voice than Brett Hoffman's more raspy vocals. While as a whole I prefer Hoffman's more unique approach, but on this record Kyle Simmons is the difference maker. It suits the music really well. And they have released a bunch of great stuff, but The Will to Kill is my favorite Malevolent creation. Moving to Greece, we have the debut full-length by Dead Congregation called Graves of the Archangels. It was released 12 years ago, but I was very late to the party, but this is so good. It's modern death metal with a very organic sound and dark atmosphere with a lot of focus on the riffing. It's almost death doom at places, and I have not really listened that much to Incantation, but apparently they are a major influence for these Greeks. The riffing, the vocals and the drumming is all excellent stuff, and their second and so far latest release, Promulgation of the Fall, is equally as good as this, but I heard this one first, so this is my favorite by them. Closing out this video, we move back to Sweden, and this is Relics of Surfer Salvation by Vanhelgd. And this is Vanhelgd's third release, and was released in 2014 through 20 Buck Spin and Pulverized Records. And this is once again very organic sounding modern death metal rooted in the old school. The band sounds like a mixture of early Swedish death metal and some Candlemass along with other stuff. It's mostly mid-paced, but sometimes very slow. and heavy and sometimes very fast paced. And they have dueling vocals between the two guitarists, which creates a nice effect. And Vanad have released 5 full length, and all 5 are good, but this one, which was the first one I heard, is my favorite. And there are a couple of tracks with lyrics in Swedish, and it adds a new flair, and this is awesome stuff. I've seen the band live twice, and they are very, very good live, despite they don't perform that much. That was it for this death metal video. In the next one we're gonna do thrash metal. Stay tuned.